Tonight, the Mary Ellen Turpel-lafond controversy continues with internal emails from her employer and criticisms from colleagues.
How are we going to know what went wrong so that we don't replicate it again?
Also, the province needs to dispose of a massive amount of expired hand sanitizer.
I got ya.
Plus, blind and visually impaired children in Saskatoon learn to play hockey with the U of S Huskies.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, January 10th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with the latest in our investigation into Mary Ellen Turpel-lafond, a prominent academic and former Saskatchewan judge. Last fall, a CBC investigation found that genealogical evidence showed Turpel-lafond was of entirely European ancestry, despite the fact she'd claimed to be a Treaty Indian of Cree ancestry for decades. Now, she's no longer working at the University of British Columbia. Jeff Leo has more on what Indigenous professors and internal emails say about that.
The day CBC broke the story about Mary Ellen Turpel-lafond's European ancestry, UBC issued a statement to the Globe and Mail defending her. It praised her work as a law professor and as the head of UBC's Indian Residential School History and Dialogue Centre. The university said it would have no comment on her Indigenous identity claims because her ancestry played no role in her hiring. But Professor Daniel Justice says when he and his Indigenous colleagues demanded answers and accountability from Turpel-lafond and UBC, the university went silent.
The university comes out very strong in defense of her at the beginning, never acknowledges anybody else, right? So it's hard not to look at all of that and feel a little bit abandoned.
According to UBC, as of December 16th, Turpel-lafond is no longer with the university. She told other media outlets that she has retired to spend more time with her family and to explore her spirituality. But UBC won't say anything at all about her departure. It says it can't because of labor legislation. But some people question that excuse.
Even just to say we are investigating would have been a huge leap forward at some point during the last almost 3 months. You know, UBC looks like a very closed-door place for people to want to express concerns about something that affects us all.
In an internal email leaked to CBC, UBC officials said they wanted to avoid doing, quote, damage control. They added that until now it has relied on the honor system when determining if someone is Indigenous. It says it will be working on a new policy that will require some proof of Indigenous ancestry. Daniel Justice says he wants a review of the hiring decisions around Mary Ellen Turpel-lafond as well.
I guess my concern is if we don't do some looking back, how are we going to know what went wrong so that we don't replicate it again?
UBC says later this month it'll be meeting with Indigenous faculty and staff to talk about next steps. Jeff Leo, CBC News, Regina.
A Saskatoon dentist and his twin are charged with drug trafficking and running what police say was a sophisticated crime operation in the city. Police arrested the Lee brothers last week. They allege the twins sold meth and cocaine. As Dan Zakreski reports, parole documents say one of the brothers is driven by greed and gambling.
Police allege the trio made a lot of money selling drugs in Saskatoon. Enough to have $79,000 cash on hand when they were arrested. Enough to buy this $700,000 house in Rosewood. This all came crashing down last week when police arrested Jessica Tran, Jason Lee, and Jay Lee. Now, police seized the house, the cash, some jewelry, and 3 luxury automobiles. They say the trio were engaged in drug trafficking, money laundering, and running a criminal organization. Jason Lee was arrested at this River Landing dental office where he worked. Police say the office is not linked to the allegations. Jason Lee is no longer featured on the office's webpage. His twin brother Jay Lee is well known to police. Parole board documents reveal he has 2 previous convictions for trafficking cocaine in Saskatoon, one in 2011, the other in 2014. For the last one, he spent 5 years in federal prison. The documents say Lee has a history of drug trafficking behavior, and that this behavior is motivated by greed and a major gambling problem. Jessica Tran was released last week after her arrest. Now, Jason Lee was released yesterday after posting $25,000 cash. Jay Lee has his bail hearing tomorrow on the twins' 34th birthday. Dan Zakreski, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The province needs to get rid of a massive amount of expired hand sanitizer, more than 354,000 litres, as quickly as possible. There are 559 pallets of unused sanitizer sitting inside a Regina warehouse. The Saskatchewan Health Authority has put out a call for tenders, looking for a company to haul away and dispose of it all or recycle it by the end of the month. That amount of hazardous liquid can't be dumped into the landfill. The sanitizer came from the Public Health Agency of Canada at the start of the pandemic when supply was limited, but the majority wasn't used. The SHA says it secured a, quote, more effective sanitizer supply. The union representing janitors and some healthcare workers says it's a bit more complicated.
And in late May of 2020, we were advised that this industrial strength hand sanitizer was in the workplaces, and it was immediately being pulled because a test had revealed that it was unsafe for pregnant women or nursing mothers.
The union president is not surprised it's being disposed of. All sanitizer expires eventually for a few reasons, including the fact alcohol evaporates. The SHA says disposal will cost more than $100,000. The province is getting ready to auction off permits to run liquor stores at 35 locations across Saskatchewan. The government decided last year that it would privatize liquor retail in the province. It's auctioning off permits, but not buildings or inventory, in locations that used to have a government-owned store. McDougall Auctions will sell the permits over 10 days, starting February 6th. As for how much money the province will get, the minister responsible wouldn't speculate.
We actually can't guess what those are going to be because we have so many different communities that are going to be selling. It depends who's going to be bidding on them, how high they're willing to go. So we just can't speculate on that. The market will drive that.
Anyone who buys a permit must open a store within 18 months and cannot sell their permit to anyone else until after they open the store. Cancelled trips, delayed flights, and a class action lawsuit. Some Sunwing passengers from Saskatchewan who had trips cancelled over the holiday season are now being offered the option to fly out of Winnipeg. Stephanie Cram explains.
Days before Lisa Adams-Cranbill and her family were supposed to fly to sunny Cuba from Regina in early January, she started to hear rumors that their trip was cancelled.
I thought it was a scam, only because Sunwing website still had our flight there. I phoned Sunwing. They had no idea what I was talking about.
She did eventually receive confirmation the trip was cancelled. Sunwing offered a new date for her vacation. That didn't work for her family, so they received a full refund.
I can see people online, I'm following online, that people haven't even received their refund yet. So I don't know why ours was so fast, but I'm grateful that it was.
Adams-Cranbill says her family still wanted to take a trip to Cuba, so they booked a new vacation again through Sunwing, this time flying out of Winnipeg later this month.
I did ask when they offered the Winnipeg flight, I said, well, will you pay the gas to get to Winnipeg? And they said no. So it's all basically out of pocket. If we still want to go, it's our choice, right?
A passenger rights advocate says Sunwing is breaching contracts with passengers and that they should pay for any additional costs for rebooking trips, whether through Sunwing or another airline.
There's nothing other than financial considerations to prevent Sunwing from transporting the passengers or, for that matter, buying them tickets on other airlines. A contract is a contract.
Some passengers out of Saskatchewan are planning to file a class action lawsuit against Sunwing. Lukash says that will be a long process. He hopes that Sunwing comes around before then.
It should be made clear to everybody in Canada, airlines and any other corporations, that this is not a way to do business in Canada. It won't be tolerated.
CBC reached out to Sunwing for comment, but haven't heard back. Stephanie Cram, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The Regina Airport Authority is cleaning up its greenhouse gas emissions while also helping people clean their bodies and homes. It's a pilot project partnership with Sask Energy. A CarbonX small-scale carbon capture device created by Clean O2 out of Calgary has been installed in the mechanical room of the main airport terminal. The device captures a portion of the carbon dioxide emissions from the boiler system and converts it into non-toxic pearl ash. That ash is then used to make soap and other cleaning products, and the carbon is permanently sequestered. The technology also releases heat, which can be used to preheat water in the airport's heating equipment.
58% of the greenhouse gases we contribute ourselves, we call those Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions, comes because of natural gas. We're hopeful that the Clean O2 company with a CarbonX capture product will essentially reduce that 58% by between 7 and 14%, we're hoping. That's a total savings of 5 to 7% on our total envelope of natural gas. And we saw this as a great opportunity to spread the word that these technologies are reasonable, they're easy to install relatively, and they will hopefully have an impact that not only gives us a financial ROI, but of course an ROI on our carbon target, which is what we're really looking for.
The estimated savings for the airport is $800 per month on natural gas usage. Sask Energy kicked in about $40,000 to cover the cost and delivery of the machine. The airport paid an additional $11,000. As for the soap produced, Sask Energy plans to share it at trade shows and donate it to community organizations across the province. Hockey season is in full swing in rinks across Saskatchewan, but for some, getting the opportunity to play is more challenging. That's why blind and partially sighted kids were invited to a special event in Saskatoon today. As Pratush Dayal reports, they had the chance to play with the U of S Huskies hockey team.
Isaiah Goatee wants to be like his hockey idols. He dreams of playing alongside Toronto Maple Leaf star Austin Matthews.
I want to become the blind hockey Gretzky.
The 9-year-old has severe visual impairment. He uses a cane to walk and braille to read. And now his mom Renelle says blind hockey to pursue his passion.
We want these opportunities for our kids so badly so that they have the opportunity to live their life to the fullest.
The Canadian Blind Hockey Learn to Skate and Try Blind Hockey program attracted 15 blind and visually impaired kids and their parents from Saskatoon. Players from the University of Saskatchewan Huskies hockey team assisted kids on the ice. Isaiah's dream comes true when he hits the puck and scores a few goals. It's a chance for Emma Crossan to learn how to skate so she can play hockey with her uncles.
It's very, very important to have, to be able to feel included into the sports. So it doesn't make her feel different compared to other kids who can see significantly better than her.
Huskies forward Aiden Bilge says it's fun for him too. His message to kids is that anything is possible.
It's their first time skating, and I mean, my first time skating, they're doing a lot better than I did. So I think just sticking with it and bringing a positive attitude and knowing that they can do this is important.
Shayla Stone says she often feels overwhelmed trying to teach her son how to skate. She's glad blind hockey has returned to Saskatoon after 9 years away.
To be able to go to a birthday party when they have a skating birthday party or being included on field trips and such things like that, that kids know when they're not able to join or they miss out on things. So this is part of our culture, it's part of our community.
This event was a pilot project, but Canadian Blind Hockey wants to keep it going and expand to Regina.
There's a huge need in this community, right? Saskatchewan's a hockey province, right? So it only makes sense that we bring blind hockey to this province.
And as the pucks hit the goal and the program hits its mark too, parents and kids hope this pilot project becomes permanent. Pratush Dayal, CBC News, Saskatoon.
It was another really foggy day in parts of Saskatchewan. This is how things look today in the Queen City. Pilots landing and taking off at the Regina Airport had some challenging visibility to deal with. And it looks like we'll be in for more fog tonight and a cooler night too. We've got a slight dip in our temperature coming. Ethan will explain in his forecast after the break. Stay with us. In In the wake of this past holiday's travel chaos with lost baggage and stranded angry passengers, Ottawa has promised action. But as Ashley Burke shows us, promises are the easy part.
It was a holiday travel season passengers called traumatic.
It's been a week now, and I still have a hard time sleeping at night.
Royce-Ann Fox's family was stranded in Cuba. She spent her days in the hotel lobby with her 2 young children, waiting for a Sunwing flight home for 6 days.
No bus. No bus. It's almost 10:20.
It was horrible. It was horrible. At the first few days, I have to wake them up and say, Kate, dress up now, put your shoes on. Let's wait. You have to be awake. This is like 11 at night, 1 in the morning.
Others were stuck for up to 20 hours on Via Rail trains, the system brought to a standstill because of bad weather.
People say, oh, you're in your seat and you were comfortable. But it really was a bit of a traumatic experience, and not knowing what was happening, people calling 911, people jumping from the train.
Federal politicians took notice, and now they're demanding answers.
We have a failed system in Canada for dealing with passenger rights.
An urgent meeting called in the middle of a parliamentary break. Their goal to find out what happened after both the summer and now winter season of travel chaos, and to make sure it doesn't happen again.
We were promised, quite frankly, by the Liberal minister that these matters were addressed, that he had it under control, that the broken system had been fixed. Clearly, it has not been fixed. There are still massive problems.
The committee wants to hear from Sunwing, Air Canada, and WestJet, along with major airports, Via Rail, and the Transport Minister himself.
What had happened should not have happened. There is ongoing review right now.
The committee will start a study on Thursday and plans to speak to customers themselves. Many are now seeking compensation after their holiday travel nightmares ended up costing them thousands in unanticipated costs. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. The trade and upgrade event is on now.
And CBC weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now. You know, it was overcast today, but it was really nice out.
Yeah, really nice. A little cooler in the south part of the province than it was yesterday. But there is good news because we are about to hit, historically, on average, the coldest part of the winter. And for some of us, it's almost over now. This is courtesy of the National Weather Service in Alaska. Think of these dates kind of like the winter solstice, but instead of the days getting longer, the temperatures, the normal temperatures, daytime highs, overnight lows, start to gradually increase. So if you're in a place like La Loche, Buffalo Narrows, Isle Lacrosse, Maple Creek, the Cypress Hills, and kind of south central Saskatchewan, you're actually in that period right now during this week. Much of the rest of the province, you're going to have to wait until next week until you start to see those averages start to climb again. And for places like Regina, Moose Jaw, Lloydminster, Leader, Kindersley, still have to wait until about the end of the month. The dead of winter is sometimes what people refer to this as well. But the dead of winter for some people, especially in the southwest, actually quite nice today with temperatures nearing the freezing mark. And that cold, though, has dropped southward a little bit from where we saw yesterday. Regina was quite nice and warm, now down around minus 13 right now. And that's the similar story throughout much of the rest of the province, too. Now, as you saw earlier, we are still dealing with fog through much of the province. West central Saskatchewan, the most heavily impacted, and visibility is a bit low in that area right now. But it's actually southwestern Saskatchewan that we're watching tonight for near zero visibility, especially in the Maple Creek area, maybe the Cypress Hills, and along that Trans-Canada corridor near the Alberta border. And the reason it's a little bit warmer in the south today is because we are seeing a little bit of snowfall as well. Maybe a little bit of mixed precipitation in there too, but that really hasn't caused too many issues. Much of the rest of the province, as you can see, cloaked in cloud cover today. That's the way it's going to stay through the next little while. Now, the cloud cover overlay is not working right now on our Outlook board, but you can see we do have a little bit of snow in the south of the province. It will be cloudy overnight tonight. Heading into tomorrow, we are watching high pressure develop, which will bring some sun and cloud to the south of the province, keeping the north cloudy. And as that high pressure moves out, okay, there goes the clouds again. They're back. Through the north of the province, we will see a little bit of snow as we head into Thursday. But winds should remain fairly light through these next couple of days, save for the southwest and the Cypress Hills, where we could see some downsloping winds in that area pick up a little bit. Regina, over these next few days, the warm-up is coming. When we are going to be seeing some sunshine as well before things really get cloudy. It seems like a real cloudy period building in over this next little while, but temperatures should remain nice. Saskatoon, today is actually the anniversary of the 2007 blizzard, where you got over 30 centimeters of snow. People were stranded in Costco, of all places. But over these next few days, certainly nothing of that like that we're going to be seeing. Maybe a little gusty on Sunday, but overall, a mix of sun and cloud. No blizzards in this extended forecast. Sam, looks quite nice.
Maybe just the ice cream variety.
Yeah, that tasty. Now I'm craving that now.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
A 6-month camping adventure has ended on PEI. The runaway is this yet-to-be-named guinea pig. She withstood the summer heat, the winter cold, and oh yes, Hurricane Fiona. She led her keepers on a few merry chases along the way, and she scuttled back home on her own recently. Home, by the way, is a petting zoo. We'll be back after the break. The spokeswoman for the UN Human Rights Chief says the Iranian regime is using the death penalty as a means to crush protests.
Criminal proceedings and the death penalty are being weaponized by the Iranian government to punish individuals participating in protests and to strike fear into the population to stamp out dissent in violation of international human rights law.
The UN agency says such executions amount to state-sanctioned killing. Iran has resorted to brutal crackdowns on anti-government protesters despite international outcry. At least 4 people have been hanged since the demonstrations began in September. Amnesty International says the Iranian authorities are considering more executions using what it calls sham trials. Not much relief in sight for millions of Californians dealing with relentless rain from back-to-back storms. Constant downpour over already water-saturated areas have left roads and neighborhoods literally swamped. The treacherous weather has also triggered mudslides and widespread flooding, and high winds knocked out power for thousands of homes and businesses this morning. At least 14 people have died in the string of storms lashing the state since Boxing Day, and another storm is set to barrel into the Pacific coast tomorrow. And Ethan is back with one last look at tonight's weather.
And we are looking at another foggy night, I think, through much of Saskatchewan, Sam, and that could be lingering tomorrow morning. Keep in mind, fog dropping air quality a bit, especially in Regina, so if you're particularly susceptible, keep that in mind through the morning hours. A cooler day tomorrow and still cloudy, but I think the precipitation will be out of our way, especially by the noon hour. Winds remaining light, though, for both Regina and Saskatoon, looking at an 8 a.m. temperature of -15. As we head through the afternoon, we're looking for a temperature of about -12. Wind chill will make that feel probably a little closer to -20 or so, but really at that, we're only looking at northwest gusts around 11 or so. Now, of course, with the fog, the rime frost has made a bit of a return, and Hazel grabbed this shot for us in Martinsville with the nice frost and the trees there, and Hazel's only 9 years old, Sam. Quite the career in photography in store, I think.
Absolutely amazing. I'd like to see more from Hazel.
Yes, for sure.
All right, thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can always head to our website or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Glenn, Reed, and Ethan will be back with more local news and weather tonight at 11. Thanks for watching and have a great night.